Don't touch it! I want to check its protein. Fuck its protein. Hello, huge movie fanatic Nate, stopping on by, coming at you once again for one of my famed movie/Blu-ray reviews. Today I'm coming at you to review the movie and Blu-ray of Creepozoids. Your flesh will crawl right off your bones. So basically I don't know if it was late last summer or early fall of last year, I basically reviewed the movie and Blu-ray of Sorority Babes of Slimeball Bowl-O-Rama. I think I acquired that Blu-ray from FullMoonDirect.com like in 4th of July 50% off sale or something like that. And I think I mentioned when I did my review of Sorority Babes last year, Slimeball Bowl-O-Rama, I think I mentioned Creepozoids, and because I don't know how I came across that title or whatever, but maybe it was, you know, one of the Blu-rays on there, one of the few Blu-rays on there at FullMoonDirect.com that I actually don't own. And I was like, and I went and checked out the trailer and stuff like that, and it was just, I don't know, I can't remember what I said about it in that review, but basically, lo and behold, I don't know, when the hell was it? It must have been the Halloween 50% off sale at FullMoonDirect.com, where they had free shipping, free domestic shipping, and 50% off this particular Blu-ray. And I was just curious, and it's got Linnea Quigley. As a matter of fact, she's like the main billing, or the first billing featured main star character, or performer in this movie. So I'm like, you know what, for 50% off and free shipping, let's just go for it. It probably cost around $10, and so I think it was like a Halloween sale, and I don't think it even arrived until like 4 weeks later, but at least it arrived. I mean, it wasn't really a big deal. So I watched it and I was just like, oh, okay. And then winter happened and now spring's happening, so I rewatched it recently and I'm here to review it. So if you haven't noticed, that's what I'm doing. So basically this movie, I don't know if it says on here when it came out. Production date 1987, and this is one of David Duchovny's, I think, first movies. I don't know if it's his first movie, but I think it's definitely one of his first movies. He'd go on to direct whatever, Sorority Babes and Slimeball Bowl-O-Rama and Puppet Master 3 and some other Puppet Masters for Full Moon and stuff like that. So he's just one of these, Z-grade movie directors that's been around and done all kinds of stuff, none of which is particularly great. I still kind of feel like, at this point, having seen the stuff of his I've seen, like Puppet Master 3 is probably the best work he's, done from what I've seen. But anyway, on to the review of the movie. This is a whopping, what's it say, 72 minutes long, and I gotta tell you, it feels like it's 90 minutes long. This movie, as I said, came out in 1987 or whatever, or was produced and or came out in 87, and it takes place in 1998, the distant future, like 5 years after a nuclear holocaust, and these 5 fricking deserters, these military deserters, are seeking refuge from the acid rains in somewhere, just outside of New LA, the new name for the new Los Angeles area. And these, the opening of the movie is kind of cool, because you kind of, with these really low budget movies and stuff like that of the 80s and 70s and stuff, and even the 90s and stuff, you get sick of the, I'm not too big of a fan on the black, the white on black credits. And at least this movie does like a credit, then it'll show these 5 deserters just walking through ruins or something, which is just, you can do one of these post-apocalyptic, ruin movies anywhere, probably in LA, and it looks, you don't have to design, you don't have to actually change anything. It just looks like a fucking, nuclear war zone, just, probably everywhere anyway. So the opening credit scene is kind of cool. Instead of just credits on black, you actually have a credit and you show them walking, have another credit, more walking. And actually I listened to some of the commentary, and David Duchovny's like, well, the reason we did that is because it actually costs more money to put credits over footage than it does to just put them on black. So I'm just glad that someone made the choice not to just have the white on black credits. So now that I've said that like 3 times, I can continue on with the review of the movie. So eventually these 5 deserters, 2 hot chicks and 2 guys and 1 geek guy with the glasses, of course. There's always like a 5th wheel, arrive at this, I don't know, this deserted underground base thing that they, it's funny how, they can get in there and it's just not locked and it's got electricity. But I think they got a generator. To be fair, I think, later on we'll find out there's a generator powering this place, but with an endless supply of gas, I imagine. But they come across this, abandoned, oh, I should be said, well, there's a, before this even happens, there's this lame kind of just spooky, scary scene at the beginning of the movie with some, woman and, doing some scientific crap and gets attacked, and then this credit stuff happened. I forgot, pardon me, I forgot all about that because that wasn't very exciting. So once they actually get in there, they're like, oh, wow, what was this place? And David Dakota in the commentary says, I mean, there's pretty much this one room that was with a door that was redressed for at least maybe 3 or maybe even more different locations. And it's funny because, I mean, it kind of ruins the movie in a way because you never really know that watching the movie, that this one room was redressed like 3 times or maybe even more to be 3 different areas. So, I mean, you gotta give them props for doing that. And, watching it now, it's just kind of like, oh, not that I'm going to plan to watch this very often, but it's just kind of like, well, in a way, I wish I didn't even know that, because that just makes the movie even more lame. But so there's probably a lot of those lo-fi things that I don't think I've listened to the entire commentary, but it's probably a lot of those lo-fi things that if you were to listen to the whole thing, you'd completely ruin this already ruined movie. What's so funny about this ultra low budget production is like the props for like their guns are these little, they're just blatant plastic like little kid toy Uzis. They're not even like the actual size of a real gun. It's just, they're so small in their hands, these freaking toy Uzis. And it's just like, oh my God, watching the movie, you're like, did they really just buy these toy Uzis from, Target or something for the prop weapons in this movie? It's just like, oh my God, later on, some guy will shoot a huge mutated rat or something like that with one of these things, and you come to find out that it's actually laser. These are laser guns, so I guess you don't need full-size Uzis to, be a laser gun. You can have a small miniaturized Uzi-looking thing to be a laser gun. But oh my God, that's just one of the details about this movie that's absolutely ridiculous. Another thing that is so common in these kind of budget movies and some of the full moon movies to come and stuff will be just like, it's 72 minutes long. You think they could fill all that time, which is just over an hour, with actual interesting stuff the whole duration of the movie. But no, I mean, there's so much, and if I would have had patience and more, I don't know, whatever, if I would have had more patience and drive to do so, I would have had a stopwatch or something and just added up the total amount of just walking, kind of slow, boring, walking around, looking around stuff. There's probably at least, it probably feels like there's more than there is. It's probably at least 5, maybe 6 minutes total, or maybe more, I don't know, of just the kind of boring walking around. And you could even, include that in the opening credits sequence where they're just walking around the ruins of, whatever, the just barren California wasteland, or, post-apocalyptic, post-nuclear devastation area. And it's just like, oh my gosh. But there's a decent amount of, or I mean too much, of just this kind of walking around, just looking around. It's just like, oh man. So of course the geek guy with the glasses, in one of the boring walking around, looking around scenes, he actually comes across this computer room with a computer. Obviously it's a mid to late 80s computer, and it's always so funny in these 80s movies when they have computers and it's just a freaking black screen and just a blinking box, and it's just like, what do you want, type in command, and it's just like, oh my God. But he basically finds, like, typing on a computer and stuff, he finds some diary entries about this and that, and then he, like, looks and sees some stuff, and then he goes under the desk to see this vent. I don't know if he can hear something, I don't remember how he finds the vent, but he goes through the vent, and there's like a bazillion, like 4 or 5 scenes of different characters crawling through this vent in this movie, and David Dakota even fucked up and like showed, basically to do this vent thing, this air duct thing, they just built like they put it on just some air duct material, metal stuff or whatever on the ground, and then some on the side, so that way, they can just shoot it and it looks like they're in an air duct or whatever. And at one point the camera goes too high and shows like, where the air duct material just ends and the wall begins or whatever, and it's just like, Oh my God. But anyway, of course, every time someone goes through this air duct, like, you know, they end up, there's some black slime that's just sitting there and they end up putting their hand in it and just like, but this nerd geek guy ends up coming through the air duct into this creepy room. And I gotta admit, for being a zero budget movie or next to nothing budget movie, whoever, you know, lit it from the kind of the top light on the, you know, backlit top lit or whatever with some smoke and stuff, it does kind of do a kind of a decent job of a really micro set, kind of, you know, alien set, you know, but a very micro, no budget version of it, kind of just alien, kind of just whatever, you know, just shapes and stuff backlit in a smoke filled room and stuff. And this guy just comes across whatever and he's looking around and he's like, attacked by an alien, and it's just like, oh wow, well, at least something happened. So after these 5, you know, deserters explore this area, you know, this underground lair or whatever they found, they're just like, you know what, there's kind of this little debate about, should we stay, should we continue moving, let's, you know, some want to stay, some want to continue moving, whatever. Regardless, for the night they hunker down, and the next morning it's kind of this cool thing where this geek guy is like, the sheets are pulled up over his head, and of course he was, in the last scene he was attacked. And I kind of, you know, when you watch it, you think he's dead then, but he's in the bed. You know, there's this little suspense moment as they pull the sheets down off him or whatever, and they wake him up, and he seems fine, and it's just kind of like, oh, that's kind of cool, because, you know, usually when someone's attacked in a movie, you think he's dead or whatever, and then there's this kind of like, ooh, what's going on? And a very kind of rip-off of Alien scene. There's this breakfast that they're doing. This movie rips off Alien in at least 2 ways. One of which, of course, is the design of like the alien, you know, the Creepozoids, whatever you want to call it in this movie, the monster's head. Obviously, from a profile, has that H.R. Geiger just, you know, alien thing with some added lobster claw jaw things or whatever. But the next scene that happens is breakfast, and this guy's eating, or everyone's eating, but this guy, you know, ends up just like doing this complete B movie, or Z movie rather, scene where it's like coughing, and it's just like, oh, what's wrong, and for the first time in the movie, something, you know, some relatively decent kind of gore effects happen, where it's just like he's got some contacts in his eyes, and he opens his, you know, really creepy eyes, and he opens his mouth, and this black viscous gunk comes out, and it's like, and his hand comes up into the shot, and it's like all just, you know, remember like Jason Goes to Hell unrated version, when that one cop just deteriorates in a slime or whatever, his hand's all slimy, and he's like, it's just like, and his head just lands on the table or whatever. Well, you know, through some, you know, whatever digging that these guys end up doing in front of the computer themselves, they end up finding out there's a lot of either I wasn't paying attention fully, or there's just holes in the plot. There's a lot of stuff that makes no sense and isn't explained, but the one thing that is explained is this guy's problem, and basically through the alien attack from the alien, he was injected with, I guess this research base or whatever was working on, like, you know, the characters say, I don't know if it's true or not, but these characters are looking on a computer and they're like, oh, well, your body, amino acids is the only thing your body can't produce on its own, or some crap. And they've developed a way to have the body develop its own amino acids, so people don't have to eat anymore. So basically, when this guy ate breakfast, he overloaded himself, and he just went, because he was the monster attacking him. Apparently injected him with his own ability to create his own amino acids from then on forward. Of course, unbeknownst to the character, he ate the next morning like normal, and basically just exploded from too much amino acid production or some crap. And it's just like, oh my gosh. Of course, that doesn't explain where the hell this monster came from. Like I say, maybe I missed that detail, or maybe not, but it doesn't explain where the hell this alien rip-off monster came from. Oh, I forgot to mention early on in the movie, maybe 15 minutes in or something like that, after they take a look around the underground base or whatever. Of course, Linnea Quigley and her boyfriend character in the movie come across the shower. And it's just like, it's so funny that this place had been abandoned for, well, who knows how, it doesn't really matter. But of course the warm shower works, and gosh, that's going to come in handy for this TNA fest kind of a, well, not really a TNA fest, but TNA scene. So obviously there is, and you can see in the trailer on YouTube, there's a brief shower kind of sex, quote unquote, sex shower scene with, Linnea Quigley and guy who plays her boyfriend in this movie, taking a shower, and I gotta say, Linnea Quigley, of course, at probably some of her finest, in this particular time, and the brief shower scene is kind of fun, so maybe we'll just leave it at that. But of course, Linnea Quigley being in it, there's some obviously toplessness and nakedness of her in this movie and in the shower and stuff, so that's always fun. Thank you, Linnea. Another thing to note in this movie is this one woman who would go on to be an adult film actress who would go by the name of Ashlyn Gear or however the hell you pronounce that last name, is one of the featured chicks, one of the two chicks in this movie. And what's so funny is, in the commentary, David Dakota's like, well, I think they actually wanted her character to do the topless thing, which makes no sense, because if you've got Linnea Quigley in a movie, I mean, I don't know, it doesn't make any sense. You'd think Linnea Quigley would do the toplessness or whatever, and then David Dakota in the commentary is like, well, Ashlyn was just like not, she goes by a different name in the credits, but I think on the Blu-ray case they've actually got the name Ashlyn Gear. I can't remember. Oh no, they say co-starring adult film superstar Ashlyn Gear appearing here as Kim McCamey or whatever. So they actually do, put the name that was used in the movie on the thing, and they just, on the credits and Blu-ray and stuff, but they just say on the case that it's Ashlyn Gear. But it's so funny that, in the commentary, David Dakota's like, yeah, she was shy and timid and all this stuff, and then a couple of years later she'd just be banging guys left and right in porn movies and stuff, so that's kind of funny. So, it is kind of interesting to have, the two girls in this movie being, of course, Linnea Quigley, who's just a TNA scream queen, and then, Ashlyn Gear, or Gear, however the hell you say her name, who would go on to be, of course, a super slut adult film porn actress. And what's so funny is there's a couple, after the geek guy dies with the glasses on, of course, it's so funny, there's a couple scenes where Ashlyn Gear, whatever the hell her name is, the porn woman who go on to be in porn, sits down in front of the computer, and she looks normal, and she's looking at the computer, and she'll be like, I can't even do it, but she'll just go bug-eyed. And I'm going to put a couple screenshots. I actually just took a picture of the TV with a digital camera, and these, it's not like she's staring at the computer like this for seconds upon seconds. It's just like her eyes will just open up briefly just for a moment like this, and it's just like, it happens at least twice, as you can see, because I took two different pictures, but I think it actually happens later on again a third time, and it's just like, holy cow, what the hell's going on with their eyes? That's kind of funny to see, like, boing, boing, just like, what she's seeing on the computer, like her future, career in adult films or something. I don't know what the hell she's seeing. Another thing that's kind of funny, and this movie's mostly funny, like all of its supposed scary / horrible stuff is mostly funny. And then another thing that's kind of unexplained about this movie, like in my opinion, the alien's unexplained, and another thing is these giant rats that'll appear. Like, I think at some point this giant, maybe it's just one, I don't know, but a giant rat will make an appearance and attack several characters. I can't even remember having just watched this yesterday. It's a very forgettable movie, but I mean it. I know a rat attacks Ashlyn, Gear, whatever the hell her name is, and so I think bites her neck and basically leaves her for dead. And she ends up coming back to life as a zombie, and there's a pretty funny fight between her and Linnea Quigley that's pretty funny as well, where they're just, Ashlyn is just this undead zombie coming back to life fighting, Linnea Quigley, and that's a funny, everything in this movie that's supposed to be action and or, scary is just funny. So that fight between the two women was kind of funny, if you haven't noticed. So as the movie wears on, all 72 minutes of it, basically, the two chicks die. Obviously the first guy to die was the nerdy guy, and what's her name, Linnea Quigley, and her boyfriend character. I just watched this yesterday, and it's a whole 72 minutes long, and I can't even remember like how several of these characters even died, but whatever. I think maybe the giant rat attacked the boyfriend of Linnea Quigley. I don't remember, but I know that the giant rat probably kills, Ashlyn, and oh God, I don't even remember how Linnea Quigley dies. But the last bit of this movie is, the last guy who's alive. Basically, there's this really boring scene. I want to say it's the last 15 minutes or more. It feels like 30 minutes, but the last 15 minutes of this movie takes place in this kind of warehouse looking room where it's just shelves with boxes and stuff like that, and it's a kind of a I guess I don't know. It's just a cat and mouse with the last surviving guy and this alien thing. And one thing to note is, I don't know if years ago I reviewed that movie Extro, or is that how you say it, from the early '80s or whatever. And I remember when I watched that, I was like, oh, there's the creepy kind of way they do the alien, where they got the guy in the suit basically, on his hands and knees walking backwards just to make a different kind of shape, which I thought worked really well in that movie. And this movie rips it off, where the alien's got his head on backwards and he'll be on his hands and knees walking backwards. So to just make a different kind of an alien shape, and it's just like, oh God, give me a break. But this face off that happens between this last guy and the alien in the end part of the movie is so lame, because there'll just be an attack, and then the alien will disappear, and then the guy will be like just looking around for a while, and you'll see the alien footsteps, and he'll be looking around, and then he'll grab a syringe, and you don't even know what's in the syringe, and he'll attack the alien with the syringe, and then it seems like it'll disappear. It seems like it happens twice, where then the thing attacks and it disappears, and then there's brief looking around again. And it's like, oh my God, you can't even fill 72 minutes with like complete, total interesting stuff for the whole duration? I guess not. But what ends up happening is, I think this guy kills, the alien, or supposed to have killed the alien with this, whatever's in the syringe, just blasting it in his mouth or something like that. The alien kind of falls down dead, and then, or supposedly dead, and the guy's just resting against some shelf, in this warehouse looking room. And then we see the alien's head, and something's going on with the alien's head, and just out of nowhere this freaking mutant baby just pops out of the alien's head, and you're just like, what the fuck? The people who did the effects for this movie must have just had this baby or something like that. And he's like, David Duchovny's probably like, oh, let's put that baby in a movie. So I don't know if this baby was supposed to be controlling the alien. This is just the most absolute asinine, ridiculous movie you'd ever want to watch. So this baby, the puppeted baby is kind of creepy and kind of fun and stuff. And the baby pops out and is looking around and attacks the guy. And the guy ends up, strangling the baby with his own umbilical cord. It's like, and kind of rolls its eyes up into his head like Belial from the first Basket Case movie. And it's just like, oh, Left 4 Dead. And then the guy basically goes into this room and sees that, his girlfriend, which was the Ashlyn Gear or whatever the hell it is, did see her dead. And then he's just like, then they show the baby that it's like alive, and then you freeze frame and roll credits. It's just like, oh, talk about just no end of the movie. It's just like, oh my God. So the last, I don't know, it's funny because so many movies are like this, B movies or whatever, where the last, I don't know, 20 minutes or 15 minutes are like the most boring part of the movie. And that's like the exact opposite of what is generally practiced with the last crescendo of a movie. I mean, I'm not even joking. Like, that's how the movie is. Like the last third or whatever, well, it's not even a third, last fourth, last third of this movie is just the most boring part of the movie. It's absolutely ridiculous. So even though it sounds like it's a 0 stars movie, I will give it a half of a star out of 4 stars for Creepozoids. Obviously, the hot chicks and the shower scene, and I do kind of like its goofy music and its post-apocalyptic feel, and its dark corridors and dark rooms and stuff. It's not a complete and total loss, and seeing that it's only 72 minutes long, it's a little more doable. But again, it feels like a 90-minute movie, even though it's only 72 minutes long. But it, and one thing that I do want to mention also is, what limited gore that is featured in the movie is relatively good. Oh, I think I remember how one of the other guys dies. He something happens with him, and he's like, I don't know if he eats something or was force-fed something or whatever, but he does the same thing where it's kind of like he, expands, and this is a pretty cool scene on a gurney where he's like, does the same thing the other guy did at breakfast, and his head just kind of, puffs up, and it's just, that looks kind of cool. So I will see, I will give this movie props for some relatively decent gore effects, and obviously shower scene, and some TNA and Linnea Quigley, and even Ashlyn, even with clothes on, is still pretty hot, and just a half star just for a bug eye is just pretty much good enough. So that'll be my review of the movie. Now on to a brief review of the Blu-ray, which came out in 2017 by Full Moon Features, obviously. Creepozoids. Your remastered flesh will crawl right off your remastered bones. Creepozoids. Now basically, when Full Moon started doing Blu-rays, it was kind of hit and miss, but by the time they got to this one in 2017, this is a dynamite actually looking Blu-ray, and that's one of the best things about owning the Blu-ray. The movie itself isn't very recommended at all, but it's actually, because this Blu-ray looks so absolutely stunning, it makes the movie more watchable because it actually is a gorgeous transfer, as is so often the case. They say they offer 5.1 surround in addition to just the 2-channel stereo. And as so often is the case, I didn't watch this in 5.1, just the 2-channel stereo, so I can't comment on the 5.1. I will say that I think it sounds like it's in the stereo at least. I don't remember, but what's really important for a release like this is the image quality, and the image quality is absolutely amazing. Of course, I haven't seen any other version of this, so I can't compare it to previous video incarnations of it because this is the first time I saw the movie, but I can say, as I've already said and will say for one final time, the image quality of this movie is absolutely fantastic. Full Moon, I'm glad Full Moon's actually gotten kind of good at whoever they're hiring to do these Blu-rays or these transfers. They're actually done really, got to the point where they're doing them really well now. With of course, if the film elements are available, then you've got limited special features here. You've got commentary from David Duchovny, rare photo gallery, and Full Moon trailers. So that's pretty much my review of the movie and the Blu-ray of Creepozoids. Basically a not very recommended movie, but more or less recommended Blu-ray. Obviously, for you people who love special features, it's pretty much short on that. But the main thing, I guess, of a Blu-ray release is the picture quality or sound quality. And I can say once again that the image quality is absolutely dynamite on this release. So thank you very much for watching this review, and as always, we'll catch you on the next one. Your flesh will crawl right off your bones.